nothing is done by one individual. No level of success is reached by one person, right? Like there is a team effort that goes into the smallest moment of success to the largest.
Yeah.
And the person that wants the rewards and the accolades for it all, and that doesn't embrace the world of team and the foundation that stands underneath whatever that thing is a person that won't last long.
But not all stress is bad. I joke, often, when we work hard for something we love, it's called passion. When we work hard for something we don't love, it's called stress. Now, in both cases, you're working hard. What's the difference between, doing something you love and you work late hours and you sacrifice your relationships and you sacrifice your family, but you look at it and say, it was hard, but it was worth it, versus losing all those things and all you do is get a Lamborghini at the end. It's like, was it worth it? I'm like, not so sure I'd do that again,
But, I'm still affected by that, or I really struggle when my mate says something. Like, I know
Sure.
the number one thing I hear is like, most people don't chase their dreams because they're scared of what their mates will say, let alone what the world will say.
What the world will say.
Yeah, like I had this I was flying back last night, as I was telling you. So I was on a plane from DC to London last night, and the air hostess, she was wonderful. Her name was Jeanette. She said to me, she was like, Jay, I really want to start a YouTube channel, but you just got to block out what your friends are going to say, right? And she was just worried about it. So that it's a very real thing. So
you need to work on yourself. If you just try to be pampered, and if you're trying to be soft, and if you're trying to be the victim and all stuff, you're not going to go anywhere. We need to get stronger. We need to get ballsier. We need to get tougher. We need to not be afraid of failure. We got to go into the work. We got to face adversity. Adversity breeds character. It's strength and fighting and resistance. It does not only make the muscle grow, but it makes also your head grow, makes you a stronger person. We have to be willing to go through hardship, through suffering, through pain, through crying periods, all of that stuff. Don't shy away from any of that, because it just makes you stronger. And I think today, a lot of times, our youth is so into kind of, let's make him feel good. Oh no, let's be more sensitive. Well, I totally agree with you to be sensitive about things, but I mean, there's also a sweet spot. Can we go too far? It's like when someone says, well, today I just need to sleep in. It's that bullshit.
Yeah.
You don't need to sleep in. This country was not built on sleeping in. So let's get up in the morning and let's get on that bike and let's do some exercise and don't even think about it. Don't look at your email or anything like this. Let's just get going. Boom, boom, boom. Let's get going. And let's start building. And so that's the idea.
Most of the most important lessons that I've learned in my life have come from doing and mentors. And so on a day-to-day basis, it's reducing the time between when you wake up and when you begin working. Right? A lot of people lollygag and delay and procrastinate and things like that. And if you just think about, there's only a certain amount of time in the day, I want to increase my output per unit of time as much as possible. A lot of people have these superstitions that they have to do a certain thing or they must do X, Y, and Z. But all you have to do is talk to a single mom who has like 5 kids and they still start businesses. They're not doing any of that stuff. They're waking up and they're working before their kids are up, and then once their kids go to bed, they work then too, right? And they're not doing all the lollygag stuff that you see trending all over social media. It's like they're working. And so like the single greatest skill, in my opinion, is being able to find a place that you can shut out external stimuli and you can focus.
Yes.
Because for me, the single highest ROI that I have is that for me, between 5 a.m. and noon, I have nothing on my calendar. It is just work, no meetings, and then all my meetings happen after noon. This is for the entrepreneur. Now, if you're like in a job right now, then it's got to be in the morning before you go to work and in the evening after you come back from work. But like having that dedicated time, and if you're like, well, I'm not a morning person, fine, then just work late. Like that's okay. Like I've got billionaire buddies who are like, oh, I wake up at 10. but they work really late. That's their special time that no one bothers them. It tends to be at the bookends of the day though, just from my experience, because in the middle of the day you get pestered and it's hard to get into that deep focus, that deep learning that you get when you really pour yourself into something.
What I wish the younger generation would pick up is the work ethic that actually has to happen. See, the key to being successful is planting. You've got to plant. Now, when you plant seeds, young people, you can't expect a harvest in 30 days. The harvest don't come in 30 days. You got to plant your seed, and sometimes the harvest don't come for years. Everything is not instant. So here's what I do. I get a row and I drop seeds in the ground. Then I go back and I cover them up with dirt, because the dirt, you need the dirt. Then once I cover it up, I dig another row and I plant some more seeds. I got about 10 rows planted. I look back at the first row and it's starting to sprout. Some stuff starting to come out the ground. I don't go back to that first row and just start eating, because it ain't really bearing no fruit right now. You can't eat the stalks and the leaves. You gotta wait till it bears fruit. In the meantime, you got to keep planting. Now, you're gonna look up in about 5 years, you're gonna look back and something you planted 5 years ago gonna have a lot of fruit on it. Then you can go back and start partaking of that fruit. But the reason you gotta keep planting is because sometimes you're gonna get rained out. Sometimes it's gonna be a drought. Sometimes, man, the pesticides / haters is gonna do what they do to your planted crops. Now, you got to mentally be prepared for that. But the planting process can never stop. If I could tell anybody anything, keep planting seeds and never stop planting, because you have no idea when God gonna drop all the necessary rain and you look up and everything you need is right there.
A woman with one man will act one way and like a total brat, and with another man be on her best behavior. And it's just the way, because she understands that one man will tolerate things and another man won't.
How dare you say that?
It's just the way the world works. And by the way, that's the same thing with men between men. Yeah. You know, a man will act in a certain way. Men wouldn't even dare being a minute late with one person, whereas another person, they know, it's fine, it can slide. So it's just between people. So I think it's much better as a man to build something of yourself, and then you command certain respect and you command certain authority. And especially in today's dating culture, I think as a man, you definitely need authority in your relationship, and you need your woman to respect you. Otherwise, she's got fucking 30 dudes in her DMs right now offering her a flyer to this, that place. And at a certain point, if she's like, doesn't really respect you and she feels like you're kind of nagging her, she's out.
So the first step is understanding that the education that you're being fed, right, is going to lead you to an end result. So you have to ask yourself, who's feeding me this information and what is their intent? The second thing is, who's feeding me food and what is their intent? And the third one is, what circles am I being placed in or am I putting myself in? And what is the intent of the people around me? Because if you can understand the intent of why people are doing what they're doing to you or to themselves or to the environment, you can determine whether you want that for your life or not. That's the first part. The second step is you need to look at the data. If there's an issue with diabetes, for example, in America being one of the leading causes of death, the question has to be, well, why is that taking place, right? If there's so many people addicted to porn, you need to ask yourself, well, why is that the case? If people are getting smashed all day, getting drunk all day, being high all day, you have to ask yourself, well, what's the source? What's the reason? What are they thinking and what is being fed to them? And you want to stay away from that. Food-wise, mental-wise, and then the people around you. Dude, you know it just as much as I do. Most people are like, oh, you know what, bro? I have shitty friends, but they're still my friends, you know?
Yeah.
Dude, you have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. You have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. You don't have to live with your girl for the rest of your life. You're not going to live with your boys for the rest of your life. So the decisions that you make, you have to be accountable to yourself in the fucking mirror every single day. Because when you're on your deathbed, you can't be out here blaming nobody. It's just you. It's your decisions. And what I realized is that the foundation to everything, success, wealth, everything is health. Why? Because I can have, let's say, my parents. People talk about family. But if I don't have my health, I can't enjoy my family. But I could do without my family and still have everything else. But if I don't have my health as a base,
Can't do it.
it's useless. I could have all the money in the world, but if I don't have my base set and established, then I lose. I could have a phenomenal relationship with my girl, right? But if I don't have health as a foundation, there's nothing to build on.